In problem 1, we're asked to find the domain on which the function is one-to-one and non-decreasing for f of x equals x minus 6 squared. Now, as we can see, this graph does not pass the horizontal line test and is therefore not one-to-one. So we have to restrict the domain, and they only want to include the domain when the function is increasing. The function is increasing or is not decreasing starting at x equals 6. So our restricted domain is going to be from 6 to infinity. So now we're going to practice finding the inverse of functions where we have to restrict the domain. So they were nice enough to restrict the domain for us in number 2. They want us to sketch a graph of f using technology to determine whether f is a one-to-one function. Now this function is x plus 4 squared, where x is greater than or equal to a negative 4. So again, so you don't have to suffer through me trying to graph this, I'm going to just grab a picture off of Desmos and show you what it looks like. So we can see it is, in fact, a one-to-one. This one does pass the horizontal line test. So I'll shrink this up so we can see our next question. Since it is a one-to-one function, they want us to find the inverse and sketch it using technology. So I will go ahead and help you find the inverse. So y equals x plus 4 squared. Now we're going to switch our x and our y and solve for y. We'll take the square root of both sides and then subtract 4 and then rewrite it in inverse function notation. I also graphed this one in Desmos ahead of time, so I'm going to take a picture of it and plop it right onto the screen for you. And here you have it. We can see that this would be a mirror image over the line y equals x. So what is the domain of f? Well, they told us the domain of f. It is from negative 4 inclusive to infinity. So let's go ahead and write that in. And what does that make the range of the inverse? Negative 4 to infinity. What about the domain of the inverse? So the domain starts at 0 and it goes to infinity. We can see that on the graph. It does include 0. Therefore, the range of our initial function is also from 0 to infinity.